Love Poems at the End of Our Lives. First edition. By Joseph Leo Hickey, read by the author. A feeling of sadness and longing that is not akin to pain, and resembles sorrow only, as the mist resembles the rain. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, The Day is Done. Serenity is not something you just find in the world. Mary Oliver. Critical introduction. After 11 years of being a poet, 11 years of writing, one thing I know: poems are meant to be shared with the world. Words can change the world and start revolutions, build bridges and bring understanding where there is none. Poems give us hope that our human experience can be shared and understood. The human experience of my poetry starts with Baptism of Apathy, which is all about the choices that transform the world. And no matter how dark the world becomes, each day a choice is made that changes everything. There is a spiritual connection between all of us, and we run around in circles with words. We hear music giving our lives meaning, taking every breath away. This music is inside our souls, you just have to listen. When you have someone you love and who understands the music within you, it leads us through the dream of our lives, the longest day we hope will end. If you have that connection, then it doesn't matter if the entire world is against you. And in this connection, the unity is so strong that even though separated or going through the worst of the human experience, such as war, famine, or death, you understand the music inside you has united you in such a way that you are indistinguishable from the other. One voice fading into the other, you know that her insides are beautiful, and there are oceans of value inside of each of your souls. With this unity, you realize that there is no time to waste, and life, though fleeting, is the greatest miracle. The one gift you cannot afford to waste. When you're alive, you want to do everything you can to change the world, because when you're dead, you will not be an element of change. The only thing to do is realize that your death is coming. Cultivate love toward everyone you can and live your life. With this appreciation, you wonder what your last will and testament will be at the end of your life. And in this testament, you realize that it is love that keeps our cells together, that this life needs to be lived as if there is no resurrection, no reincarnation. And as your life continues, you realize that poetry is the music that unites all of us, and that the words repeated back to you all rhyme with a lonely part of your heart. These words we hear are the love poems at the end of our lives. This book is the first follow-up to the 3 poetry books I released last year: Baptism of Apathy, Unity, and Live My Life Remix. I have not done much promotion on these 3 works yet, because my plan is to put out and produce the best material possible, and lots of it, and then start promoting the books with all my effort. The first thing people notice about these books is the constant female protagonist in each book. Apathy featured Natalie Gabler, someone born into a world where God is not on her side. She is someone who has real power. She is also a caricature that drives home one of the main themes of apathy. If you have someone that you love and can hold them close to you, it doesn't matter if you lose the rest of the world. In Unity, the main protagonist, although rarely directly mentioned, is the woman in her mid-20s, Ella Sturm, who has to live her life alone. Unity portrays many of Ella's thoughts and is emblematic of the need for human connection, even in an imperfect world. My favorite character of the 3 is from Remix, known only as Purity. She is a very powerful character who is reincarnated into a new body to atone for the mistakes of her past life. And she more than makes up for it by transforming the totalitarian state via the religion she founds based on charity and her writings and self-sacrifice when she was burned alive by the totalitarian state she was trying to destroy. The main protagonist of this book is a younger 18-year-old woman named Serenity. As usual, the details about this character are vague, because I want to focus on strength of emotion rather than details that do not invoke emotion. Serenity, like Purity, also sacrifices herself and gives her life so that others may live, although in a more realistic way than the character of Purity. Readers will notice many similarities between the themes of my various books. Despite the similarities, each depiction of a specific theme has a slightly or vastly different emphasis. Many of these poems come from the Instagram account I used under the pen name Thorold Stone. I originally decided to create this Instagram as an experiment to get a feeling for what it is like to write poems and have true anonymity. The main theme of this book is time and how everything eventually decays as time goes on, and how characters deal with this realization. There is often in our lives a time when we realize that we don't have the words to deal with the pain or loneliness we're going through. This is exemplified in the poem Hey in Dating Apps. Serenity, although she has many weaknesses, is a strong character who through her death becomes a legend. Many of the things that would be said about her after her death would be false. She was not as good a person as people would remember her. Few people knew the real Serenity. She was a rebel, punk rock poet, leader at heart, and someone struggling from an extreme form of bipolar disorder, filled with emotions that were spilling out of her because nothing could possibly contain them. Poem about walking in the woods. The movie about Robert Frost before he was famous. Frost sent a poem to a magazine and got rejected. When he was famous, the magazine asked him to write them a poem. Spoiler, he sent them the same poem. Whenever I read your words, I hear you speaking in your own voice. And I'm in the woods reading the PDFs you sent me last night. Something about unity and how every voice fades into the other. How our emotions unite us. There's something you've been trying to tell me. You have given up on religion, forgotten about God, lost faith in any book. There's not even a vague hope for finding a heaven now. There's just nothing. It's better to be burned alive than to be the one during the burning. And the things that gave you peace are detestable to you now. You think about the person you were before and you realize that every tree that grows toward the sky was meant to reach for it. Like we are meant to reach out for love. And you think about Walt Whitman, Robert Frost, Murray Oliver, and a few others, and you read their works, and no one will read your words or hear them. No one will pay attention for one moment. More things have failed us than our faith. I admire the fact that you told your spiritual father, before cutting him out of your life, that he had become the Dark Lord and you had become like Kylo Ren. Except you said for you there would be no face reveal, because you knew that you had become ugly both inside and out. There was a quote from a textbook in my MSM program, and it's the only thing I remember clearly. When you don't have knowledge of something, our minds usually fill in the blanks with negative information, and we don't need religion to burn each other alive. But it doesn't help. It doesn't help that we've imbibed this cult mentality that anyone who disagrees with us is evil, or when we imbibe inconsistency in our hearts. I think a little bit of you has rubbed off on me. I've started writing too. I've started doubting things. I've started believing that a false hope is better than a dark hope. I want everyone to feel good. I've been walking in the cold, and I think about my feet rubbing against the ground. How we all need some conflict. How we all need someone else to understand us and to call friend. I still think about you. To travel the world and experience the people, and see the happiness and poverty. I choose to forget you, but I can't destroy you in my mind. As the world changes and governments rise and fall, we know that our misery is the motion that will chain us to where we are standing. As the world moves on without us, there is a world where we are together, where you hold me and never let go. If we cannot understand our purpose, can we understand anything? We will become like martyrs, dying without knowing this, dying with no purpose or meaning. We had no reason to be alive. I tried laying down my thoughts coherently, but failed. I sit in front of my therapist for an hour and say nothing. I study Plato and Aristotle so I can know how to win the argument. I study the art of words so I can learn how to win your heart over. I might possibly be the best poet in the world, but I'm way too lazy to lift my pen, so no one will ever know what could have been. I wish I could have 2 decades in my 20s instead of just 1. I am walking alone in the rain, and when I get home, the rain still reminds me of death. And when I dream, the city lights remain in my mind, like the light has burned through my eyes. We need love poems, and the first time I saw your face, it resonated in my mind, like direct light from the sun after you accidentally look at it. And I will never recognize the beauty in anyone else but you. So much can be said in a single PDF file. I will send one to you, with pictures of stars and galaxies and the future that is meant to be ours. I've been to many weddings, and I wonder if in the universe There are people who are meant to be together but will never meet each other. We talk about love, but we don't know what love is on a basic level. The look in your eyes no one will speak of. The shattered moment when I try to write a poem about it. But this is all I write. Because you are fathomless and stirring, a storm ready to erupt, that will destroy my heart. People change. Call me and you will understand this is truth. People need compassion. Visit the nations ruled by tyrants and you will understand this is truth. People need grace. Show me your naked heart, and I will lay my soul before you, and you will see the insides of me. One day, humanity will design a supercomputer that can write sensible poems. Then we will never need to do any work to tell each other how we feel. We will get so used to printing off generated poems that we won't feel anything for ourselves. I listen to the same songs I listened to years ago, and all of the emotions come back. I need to grow as a writer, but first I have to understand what growing means, and what message I want to send to people. The poems of the girl who died resonate in my mind, like the heat of the Florida summer, when I'm now living in Newfoundland, Canada. I want to watch a movie with you, just so I can have an excuse to hold you in my arms for a few extra seconds before you die. Why do I have such a hard time believing that we cannot live forever? If the world is against you, then I am against the world. I write simple poems because we are all simple people, and we understand simple art. Because the misery we feel is also simple, albeit overwhelming and relentless. The unemployed writer. I spend all day in my room, wishing you would like the same music I do, just so we can share the same emotions. Sometimes I'm afraid of not having anything to say to anyone, ever again. My next book will be blank pages, the truest poetry, and you can fill them in with your imagination. You will fill these pages with negative details about me, because you haven't met me, and you do not love me. Some say writing is good if you have a good cause or topic to write about. Some say writing is good if you are skilled at the craft. Some say writing is good if it pays the bills. All of these foolish answers are wrong. Writing is good when you are here with me in this moment, listening to me, the only one in the room. If one person hears, I know I'm successful, and will not have to work another day in my life for satisfaction. I once heard someone say, love is a privilege that can be taken away. But to that I say, it isn't love if it goes away. My writing is getting worse and not better with every sentence I write. There are browser extensions that can block all the sad news. You still believe in me, even when I stop writing. Poem about walking in the woods, part 2. I'm walking alone in the woods on the day after it rained. Puddles and mud everywhere. And someone painted a swastika on my neighbor's mailbox. I don't understand why people love death more than life, but I am in love with life. Because there is so much to explore, so much to feel. I hear the rustling of the water, the rustling of the leaves in the wind, the sound my feet make when they touch the wet dirt. I will record everything I do each day, and lose the files when my hard drive crashes, and lose the memory of my past. I heard someone say, because there is no reincarnation and no resurrection, you can never do anything you are doing now ever again. I think that is the best way to live. Some roads are so empty, and when you walk through them, you know you will go to a hotel room that night and sleep in a state you've never been in before. And as you travel across the country, you know your words are what people will hear, although only a few people will hear them. I've started writing poems by speaking instead of typing or writing by hand. I think it's better this way. It's almost like a conversation with people I will never meet, and never hear any replies from. And now my youth is gone, but I will write poems about what it's like to be young, because when you close your eyes and think you're young, it's almost as if you are young. Words have the power to destroy life. Too many use their words without thinking first. Very simple advice, but think before committing yourself to your actions. I'm walking underneath the bridge, hearing the airplane fly overhead, remembering the time when I used to be on flights, in the clouds far above everyone. I had that anxiety because I didn't know how flight works, and I was so scared that at any moment I could lose my life. I admit my fear was irrational. I saw online that Islamic extremists had killed numerous people again. And I am still not afraid of my life being taken away, although if I lived in many other countries I would not feel safe. Walking with you. I remember us walking together, enjoying being in your company, but because of a miscommunication over text the next day, you misunderstood every word I said, and we never talked again. Disconnection. I wish emotions had a direct connection with what is actually going on in my life, and I will spend the rest of my days helping those in poverty in countries I would never visit otherwise. Serenity stands by the train tracks wondering about her future, and the first thing that comes into her mind is the fact that she read an article in a psychology magazine that said people often have a random thought that comes into their head when they stand near a train, and that thought tells them to jump onto the tracks. And for a few seconds of misery, she would then feel nothing afterwards, nothing at all, because that thought came into her mind too. And she didn't know where it came from, or why she could not control her subconscious. But this book is not about suicidal thoughts or death. It's about love poems. Let's hear some poems written by her. The first thing she said was that thoughts and ideas are hard to express, because there are only so many ways you can express the same idea in a different way, because all she thinks about is the same thing every day, how nothing happened. It's easy to master the skill of talking about nothing. She relates her writings with a metaphor here and there, mashing two words together that don't belong together, making bold statements, but it doesn't matter what she said. All that matters is why she said it. And when you walk alone in the cold and there is no one to welcome you, you will feel the same emotions every day but get worse and worse at expressing them, until you close in on yourself so much that your heart starts constricting on itself, pulling and breaking until you will lose your mind or worse. And all you hear are songs remembering there is something to celebrate and worth it. And I'm in the basement writing this, hearing the radio that my father left on, songs he doesn't listen to and songs I'll never care about. But they remind me of the past. I don't care about them because I want to forget the past and let it die. Now what you came here for were Serenity's poems, and I promise I will get to that. But first I'm about to tell you what you don't know about her. She was damaged inside and out just a little bit worse than me. But because she was strong, she would never think about hurting herself or suicide, sometimes feeling the greatest emotions that can be felt for no reason at all. Pure ecstatic joy. And the worst kind of fear and anxiety. The worst kind of, the only way to describe it is sadness, because that's what it is. The chemicals in your mind creating worlds that don't exist. But these worlds are pure reflection of the way we should treat other people than anything we feel ourselves. And I know how much you miss her. I know that when you kissed her the first time would be the last time anyone would ever see her. You were the first person she ever kissed. Before her first kiss, she realized that the things we are lacking are what grow to define us. What we want is what we mold ourselves after, which is why you take after her so much. You've gained so many of her interests that she used to have. You grieve and think that she's missing from your life. So you have to fill that in with something, and you inhale it into yourself and it becomes part of you. Punk rock bands you never listened to before now are your favorite thing. You see her face in your dreams and you know, why can't we say these things to each other while we were alive? Why is it always when it's too late? And as promised, here's the love poem she wrote about you. It's nothing special, just words scribbled out on a page, scanned into a computer. I'll send you the file tomorrow. Here's what she said. I hate writing love poems, but for you I'll write one. I never felt connection with anything except for the music I listen to every day. Music gives life meaning. Music is something that I remember in a music class I had a while ago. They told me movies without music would lose so much of their meaning. I think you, in a way, have become music to me. As we watched the sunlight disappear, as I was lying in my room all day, too sad to get up or too tired to move after spending the entire day at work. But this is just the first draft, so we can change everything later. We can say what we want and cannot take it back once we show it to other people. But when you hide yourself in your own heart, when you hide your words in your own heart, and you're the only one who knows them, you could write about anything. Anyone could think about you and not know you and realize that you could write anything. We judge others based on what we have seen them do. We judge ourselves based on what we think we're capable of. Thank you for holding me that night. I'm sorry I went away. I'm sorry I haven't seen you since. I had to confront my problems instead of running away from them. I bought 5 poetry books yesterday. I find it so hard to read prose novels because so much time is wasted in them. I want to feel emotion without exposition. While we sleep comfortably, we will not remember those in Syria or bombs, fire, and death, and then silence. You aren't responding. You are fallen and cold. There is a twisted melody through the air describing how we feel. How we only had one life, but instead of helping you, I turned and walked away. In New York City, the world is dark as we rush from empty room to empty room. There aren't that many places in the world when you think about it. There aren't that many hearts left whole. These psalms of mourning as the daylight breaks through once again, filling the streets. There is a fog over the world, like ignorance and inaction forever. The coldest village on Earth regularly has temperatures below -88 Fahrenheit. If the mind is matter and energy, can you divide a mind? If you replace every part of me, at what point am I no longer the same person? You're all I have at the point in our lives when the world is falling in on itself. As we stand underneath the Hawaiian sun, and we watch the H-bomb fall. We celebrate the short run that we had as people, and others panic, frantically trying to find their kids. And on the other side of the world, there's a tyrant who rules and crushes his people, starving each day. Oh, with dreams that will never be fulfilled. Laughter is all gone now. The world we've known is gone. All that's left is nothing but dreams of the way the world used to be. Rising from the ashes, we take back our world. It is love that keeps ourselves together. It is entropy that blows them apart. Our deaths were always coming because entropy breaks all bonds except for the spiritual ones that last forever and survive the death of the body. I had a vivid dream, and in this dream, I had done such terrible things, and I cut off all contact, all connection to the memories I hold close. And part of that memory was you. My dear friend, I didn't say a word, and I disappeared into the night. My world was entrenched in fire, love and peace drowned in brimstone. In the real world, I will make my choice, to never hurt you or let you down. Before we recognize it, we fall apart, lost in the dark with fear and tears in our eyes. When I was a child, I confided in fate. Never was afraid of anything, never afraid of the dark. But now, as the days go on and this winter fades into spring, the only thing I fear is time. When you are on top of the world, we know without saying that what we have is only superficial. The only spiritual truth is the passing hours clawing down on who you are, changing you in ways you never thought you could. I'm afraid of seeing the future, and I don't want anyone to feel misery. If no one notices you, the thought of the tears from your eyes is unbearable. And I know you are suffering, losing what you cannot live without, the coldness. I realize that I no longer believe in fate, because we won't be here in this world forever, and I've read so many poems to my friends, but failed to prove that life has meaning, because nothing happened for a reason. I told them that no matter what happens, I love them all because I can no longer feel the difference between life and death. When we talk, we realize that what we have in common outweighs what drives us apart. Just the other day, I felt such searing misery. We are not alone in the world. Your voice is the most valuable. Your voice is the relief I feel when I know the storm has passed. Imagine a world where all connection is severed, where I never hear your voice, where you are left alone in the dark. In time, you would go insane. When you long to get away, you need to know that someone hears, is listening through the misery. You're the reason why I never want to die from old age. There is a certain feeling you get when you read poems, metaphor and music, but most of all remembering and then forgetting. The weekend we were on the Ferris wheel, laughter and then a kiss. And death will greet us when anger comes, when we forget that lives can be destroyed. I forget the details of how we met, like a story we all should remember. We all need someone to text us in the middle of the day, hey, what are you doing? We all need someone to be there when the bombs come crashing down, or when we are homeless with no place to go. And I will sit in front of a computer screen for 3 hours doing volunteer work at a hospital. and I will kiss you in your car in my driveway, and it is so hard for either of us to let go. But those who do not love you do not understand you. Pills will dull your senses and make you not know what is real or true or full of life. Faith. I believe in nothing that I cannot feel. I feel you and I believe in you. I believe in you and I love you. I love you and I experience you. I experience you and I save you from the storm. I save you from the storm, and I will make the world disappear. And when the world disappears, I will recreate it for you. Show me the world beyond your dreams. I will feel it and we'll both experience joy. Hope. You have grief inside your soul. I have death in mine. You have tears that drown the soil and bring new life that grows. This life will overflow the planet and spread a message of love and compassion, and not one of cutting your family out of your life forever. One in which there is peace and not religion, joy and not hardship, labor and payment as well, recognition for what you've been toiling. I want to live a life in a world with you, a world where there is balance. Charity. It's okay. I wouldn't be here if I didn't love you. Now kiss me. I feel as if nothing can destroy what we have together. I said if I had any money, I would give it all away. And no one in the room believed me because of how quickly money corrupts your heart. And I still do not believe how quickly each year is passing. But I still feel like I could give everything I have away. I don't need much to live. I don't need much to thrive. I don't need much to face my own death. It's difficult to leave when the night is setting in and I have to go home. It's difficult to remember the most important parts of our lives, because too much of routine becomes mundane, and then we forget about what we wanted our futures to be when we were kids. We are falling from grace. We are hiding inside from the storm. I've kissed you. I've loved you. I've been afraid of you walking away. You said you're not going anywhere. I wish I understood my own human nature. I wish I could be closer to you, because I can't get close enough. Serenity's voice after death. I remember everyone saying, today is all we've got. You only live once, but for some reason saying I love you is never enough. There has to be some other kind of metaphor attached to it to even get the point across, or to express it fully. Because people use simple language and they say I love you. However, none of those words convey exactly what they're feeling. Maybe to touch hands is enough, something about skin touching skin. Our minds are so separated in different spheres. You never knew what I was thinking, and you will never know exactly what I'm feeling now that I have passed away. Life is like that time we were walking through the park together, and then heard explosions from the attack, and tried to run to shelter as quickly as we could. I don't deserve to be admired or even remembered, but at the same time I want to be remembered not for what I've done, but for simply who I am, simply existing. Everyone thinks they need to be loved for who they are, and not for what they've earned. I don't believe in cliches or saying your words are cliche. If we had another chance or another life, I would say that's possible, but we don't. You have to look at the words you've been told now. Can't expect anyone to explain it better later. I know people now are poring over my words and writings, asking why this happened to me. Why did she throw herself in front of an active shooter and in effect save the lives of all of her classmates? I will tell you why. It's a matter of pure instinct and nothing more. It wasn't my decision, just a thought that came to my head. Like that thought that comes into people's heads to jump in front of a train, except this thought came from a different source. And I don't know where it came from, because now I'm drifting through empty space, not feeling anything. And I call you pain. The one I would think about if I still had thoughts. The one I drift through when I become one with all things and nothing. Like the leaves of grass that grow from the ground. All that's left now is the ripple effect I had on the world. When you feel the sunlight against your cheeks, remember me. You will not find me anywhere except when you think about nothing, because that is what I am now, nothing. As each day fades into the other, they suddenly become mundane. As if every shade, every color was the same. When nothing is different, nothing is special. The language is using its ability to convey powerful messages when words are overused. The dream I had in which I'm walking through the woods, but I'm with you. The simple topics we talk about, the simple sharing of life, the simple beauty inside your soul. Even on the days when nothing is happening, I'll feel at peace. You are drowning with me. I dream at night that we are lost in magical woods and that we will never escape. Even in my dreams, you are drowning with me. My favorite place in the whole world is anywhere with you. You took my hand and taught me to let go. The adrenaline will fade. Years go on when war is separating me from you. I will have many things to say to you, no one to share them with. I forget them all. Each day's memory will fade into the other. The sunlight drifts into my apartment. My heart is boiling. I read in the news today that after the explosion, you lay motionless on the concrete. The city still moves without you. If we stop moving, we suddenly freeze to death. I will say cliche things, what I miss about you. Soon I'll forget you forever, because there is no resurrection, no reincarnation, no way to undo whatever is done. I never could understand the truth inside you. It's eternity we're falling into. What will it take to convince you we're not all right? The city looming, the extent of our disconnection rivals how much we need someone to listen. So much potential, but we lost it all. All ripped poems. All broken hearts. Living healthy lives but cannot breathe. You said you'd never do this. You swore. At the hospital again, writing poems about my ruminations. Our histories will soon be forgotten, but not yet. Your memories consisting of running through these nameless streets. I read Serenity's poems, The Girl Who Died. She was bipolar and I am too. She didn't hear anyone welcome her, chilled to the bone in these hallways. My connection with her words is powerful as the winter of our lives. She could not feel the spirit of joy moving. She was a poet, I do not blame her. I admire her simply because she could feel as if her nerves were amplified, and no one else could feel the distant music of joy or the close embrace kiss of pain. She was a better poet than I am, but no one else thought much about her. She faded into obscurity. We could have been close friends as the leaves of autumn fell. The world would slowly turn colder. She did not realize that seasons pass with time. I would have loved her if she had spoken to me. But now I can only read about her, in the words she left behind, love poems at the end of our lives. The hardest part about writing a poem is dealing with the memories and misery of what you're planning on writing about. However, that's what I've been told. I have never written a coherent poem. Feelings. I step into the shower and feel the warm water. Noticing the warmth always feels the same, no matter where you are in the world. I have used this same shower for years, and it makes me think about how I left an imprint from my mind in singular moments in time during my life, thinking this will never change, and thinking that each moment will not pass away, that I can stand here and feel warm forever. But I have changed more than the water has, more than the warmth has that I feel against my skin. And the misery has not changed either. And I cannot step out because it feels cold outside. And when I lie down in my bed all day, I feel the chemicals in my brain pierce sadness for no reason. As if my feelings were totally disconnected from what is happening to me. Poems. I write them, and I'm not sure if I should write as if I wasn't feeling the grief I'm feeling. I will say goodbye to expression for the rest of my life. I look in the mirror. I feel weak, too broken to understand myself. It's not a sin to use profanity. It's a sin to feel nothing at all. If we cared about poetry as much as we cared about video games, we'd unravel the twist in our hearts. Here we are again, staring at a blank page, injured by apathy, unable to fight in the battlefield of words, on the internet or in a public place, on the street corner. However, the city would arrest you before you speak your mind. Caring about other people is contagious. It shouldn't be so hard to get up and give what you don't have. I want to spend the rest of my days homeless, but I will be the only one working at the soup kitchen. I don't understand why no one else is here feeding these starving people. Insane. I went crazy 2 summers ago. There is only so much time you can stare at four walls and hallucinate that your phone is ringing. But when you get up to pick up, you were only dreaming, and then you are weeping. Love poem. You want to understand her, you want her to listen, and that is the first and last step in finding true love. There is a song by the band Balancing the Different called If You Fall, and I listened to it 5 times today. If everyone rejects you, you will die from starvation or lack of medical care, much sooner than you will die of a broken heart. Sometimes words come to me and I don't know if I am the one writing them. I never understood psychology or how the subconscious brain works. Your subconscious dictates more than you know. There is only an illusion of agency. I am not responsible for anything my ancestors did. I'm afraid of driving, however I am much more afraid of writing, although I do it every day. I'm forgetting how to use proper grammar and it is scaring me. If I believed in God, I would pray for you every day. I have ambition to become someone I am not. I will believe in a form of spirituality that does not seem possible, just because it is better to have hope in a miracle. On the one at the Amy Shark concert, holding up a sign saying "Play London Lights." My favorite songs by her are all the ones her label decided weren't a good representation of her from before she was famous, so they just pretend like they never happened. You were so mean to me, and I don't understand how that's possible. I feel as if the words were ripped out of my lungs, and I will never speak again. Comments I saw some people agree with online. If anyone is convicted of being gay, they should be emasculated. Back in the day, execution by burning is how you dealt with notorious heretics. You tell me that God is love, but what you really want is submission of mind and control. I am too depressed to care that you want to oppress people who have no voices, so I go to my room and lock the door and hope you will never find me. I do not speak for fear of being burned alive, and I can't be blamed for that. Sometimes it's necessary to use strong language, because otherwise you won't ever listen. I need your attention now. Poetry is nothing but rhetoric, but the only kind that resonates with me personally. We should all write poems with hidden messages, so we can discover more things about the depths of each other's souls, each and every day. I haven't recovered from high school yet, have you noticed? One day I wrote a story for class that students said wasn't a story. They all started saying mean things to me because it had no conflict. I then wrote a story about my experience the same day and sent it in the next class and received a passing grade. We need a poem to change our minds and to help us to learn to resist what is imposed on us. The world is cold in the street. I understand now why we are alone. We are running out of words. This could be the end of the world. Stay awake with me and look at the stars at night. It will be beautiful. It will be special. If the world is against you, then I am against the world. So many promises that were never kept, but stay here through thick and thin with me. The world is quiet at night. In the morning, the noise is inescapable. In these moments when we are alone, remember to hold on to me. I stand up on stage and read my poetry. Poems about poems are the best ones I have read. Baltimore air never felt so cold. Last time I was in Baltimore, we still talked. You moved out like the floor was moved out from under me, while I was trying to stand. There is a small part of me that believes there is nothing to write about. I want to explore the world but can't get out of Maryland. So I walk the streets and close my eyes, the same as if I was walking the streets of Oslo or Toronto. I will never tell the difference. I hope you still remember my poems. You're still asleep, all I do is dream. I would be a poet, but I never have learned references in my work, like the times when Shakespeare saw someone brighter than a summer's day. I don't believe he wrote anything by himself. I walk beside the shadows. I hear your voice in my mind trying to tell me something. I haven't forgotten about my boyfriend. Thank you for remembering me. I am too depressed to write any more words. Words are for those who have someone to share them with. This poem is done. No, you don't understand my poems. I'm on the internet blogging what will be remembered or uncovered in 200 years. And then we won't make the same mistakes again. I hate the way my writing has become. My poetry is one single cliche. My next book will only be one poem, and it will be addressed to you. I wrote a haiku about a yellow bus in high school. I can't even remember 17 syllables. In the time of youth, my voice was clear in your ears. The better years gone. Spotify playlist, I listen to you daily. Songs help me forget. All the poems I read you misinterpret, that's clear. I speak, you don't hear. Hard to walk away, cross the oceans far from here. Find homes we feel love. Can you define a thought and know exactly what it is? Seems to be something abstract to me. Do not contact me ever again as a thought. I love you and I want to be with you for the rest of my life as a thought. Poem from Mark Balmer. I wish I had your experiences, but I rarely leave my house. Was not brave enough to share any of my work and stayed home doing nothing, and then I died without making a difference in the world. I am in a hurry to get my work done, and that's what I've been told. I rush through everything I do because everything I do is so boring, because I'm sleepwalking through my life. Yesterday I ran outside for 90 minutes. At work they told me that I am fast but efficient. I'm getting better at rushing things. I'm getting better at fast forwarding through my life. Soon I'll be 26. And I want people to remember that I took my time and absorbed the world, and did the opposite of every decision I am making now. But for some reason I cannot change what I am doing, and I'm not happy with myself. I want to make YouTube videos, but don't want to show my face. I want to be remembered not for who I am, but for what I've done and the lives I've touched. My story is yours and not mine. Music moves me every day. I listen to more music than poems, or any other kind of book, because the world is boring without melody and surprise. The last sonnet I will ever write, because I hate rhyming. If you would think first before hanging up, I would have someone to listen here. I know that words are never good enough. We say the same things, nothing is clear. The breeze against my skin, the same each day. We forget where we are, where we should go. A poem to tell you why I run away. Soon we forget people we used to know. When this life passes and the days are gone, we will not remember any of this. There will be no way to undo the wrong. Remember, time brings us into the abyss. I will always hold on to my charity. Anything you want, I give to you freely. The average person spends 25 years of their life asleep. If I die before I turn 35, I want you to read my poems at my funeral. The breeze low against your naked skin. Can you feel the words fail to come? Our bodies together, the sheets between. Can you hear the passion of 1,000 worlds? And every song. You wish you could describe this moment, but you cannot. If you could, we wouldn't need to speak at all. We would have the fulfillment we needed already. You are a dream, you are a phantasm, but the clearest one. You are seeping out of my nightmares. You will never see inside my soul. I spend all day in my room dreaming about the things I've done in my past. The best days of my life are gone. So I run away, my heart filled with a new kind of despair that clouds my thoughts, making it impossible to dream. The streets of Atlanta and numerous other cities where we are all lonely and separated. The desert of the world. Walking home alone again, you are found by your enemies, punched in the face, left on the side of the road and left for dead. The memory I have of the woman in my dreams, do I even know her? If only we would stop for one moment to think about our actions before we commit ourselves to them. I'll write words that make other people sad, because the world is in desperate need of understanding when we walk these streets and we don't even look. One time I wrote a sonnet that doesn't rhyme and received a grade of A+ for not being afraid to stand out. The maximum jail time for any crime in Brazil is 30 years. They abolished life in prison and the death penalty. And after I read this on Wikipedia, I sat in front of my computer screen with a mouth wide open in disbelief. We all demand justice for those who destroyed our homes and burned them down. You're going to have a hard time during your life finding people to connect with because everyone believes what is now is what will always be, and they are afraid to make new friends and connect in any way that seems new. Can a heart survive a hurricane or the darkness that floats and encompasses it? We need a poet who actually feels to write about everything he or she feels and then create something beautiful with their words. Maybe you will change before you are dead. If words ever convinced anyone, they will convince you. I have missed serenity. Nothing is inevitable except life in all its fullness. The orchestra and the choir, the most epic story that no one will write. But we will witness it together. I'll wait here for you, and we will tell it to each other when we feel each other. The drum beat at the rock concert, I forget what band was playing, but the songs were anthemic, and the memory, though vague, reminds me that there once was a time when I was alive. Yes, I'm gone now. I passed away several years ago, and I see you. I have been in this state for ages, watching, waiting, less than a phantasm, more than a myth or a legend. If I knew what words were anymore, I would call what I am feeling pain. But I will never feel and call it pain again. If I call anything pain, I think you should be the person I call pain. Pain of the thing I felt before, but lost and cannot replace. There are no words to describe what I lost except for thing, because any other descriptive word would fail to encroach it. If I had hatred and invective, I think it would be towards nothing, because I do not have time to think, no time to think about anything but the thing I lost but cannot replace. If I was drowning, I do not believe there would be an ocean large enough for me to drown in. Not one you can reach physically, but there is one inside your heart. And I don't know why I keep saying I love you, but it's what happens when I lose you and can't replace you. You are the avenue of eternity, and I will never get back to where I started. There once was a time when I wrote a book and typed the words out for hours during the night and then sent you the PDF the next day. One day I stopped feeling. One day I stopped loving. One day I was drowning in the flood of darkness from my own soul. One day you stopped believing in me. One day you left me and never came back to me. One day you found religion and said that God told you to never talk to me. One day you divorced me and I was still holding on to your memory. One day you stopped feeling and loving too. One day you decided I was a hopeless cause. One day depression started controlling my life. One day I took up drinking. One day I lost all faith in God. I could write essentially the same poem every time I write a poem, slanted in different ways. Last night I dreamed that I could still find you and that you were still alive. Today my life dragged on forward, pulled me through the dirt, bashed my head against the rocks until I begged life to stop. And when I escaped life, I was bleeding and bruised all over. Some poets use very few words, and I admire that. Some poets use many big words, and I don't hold it against them. Neither is more skilled than the other. The one who feels more is more skilled than the other. Even if you cannot communicate it, what is locked inside you is the greater poem, even if no one but you knows about it. The light that shines through the dark forest when no one is looking, when I am waiting for someone to take notice. I will spend the rest of my days inside writing poems, new words that no one has read before, but will resonate in your mind until the end of the world. In our age, our happiness fades, because we cannot understand aging, why your smile fades. I do not have time to reminisce, because there are so many new skills I need to learn. I miss the days when the music wasn't stale. I miss the days when my jokes had meaning. I miss the days when balance was integral to us. I miss the days when you were here. The new day comes, and then the day after that. Hey, in dating apps, when you have so much to say but no way to say it, you are the song I plan to repeat. You are the personality that is lacking from those around me. the joy that they should have, but are too drowned out to notice. I fear the moment when we have many words but do not speak, and after years go by we think we hate each other because of false assumptions. I could write a poem about how there are no words on the page. I could write a poem about how I've written too many lines, drowning out the meaning in them all. I feel as if I constantly need education so I can understand the world and not create assumptions about it in my mind. Serenity. You are the woman I think about whenever I think about women. You are emblematic of the one truth in the midst of 1,000 lies. You are a pill that cures cancer, but you are unfortunately coated in poison. We want freedom. I dig all your movements. I dig your longing emotions. We need to feel more than a spiritual connection. I crave the days when we will belong to each other. The honey on your lips. The cure for the poison in the air. The cure for the dreadful atmosphere of our nation. You could save the world if you understand you are beautiful, someone worth living for. You are my anthem. You are the one I hold in the rain, as we become one with the rainfall and love each other in every season. These are the love poems we wrote at the end of our lives. One day when I was a child, I was lost in the woods and thought I'd never find my way home again. Broken bones and bleeding parts. I won't write another poem when we are afraid that it might be our last moments alive. When the record finishes playing and we've fallen asleep in each other's arms and can't change the music. Purgatory. And when we are dead, we'll find ourselves lost for several million decades. And during this time, we will follow the lives of the people we hurt and feel all the things they feel. We laugh nervously after grieving. I wish the English language had the capacity to convey exact emotions instead of relative emotions. We need words for the different flavors of grief and the multiplicable tastes of joy. The exaltation we feel all of them at once. If we all woke up with amnesia, we would start over. We'd forget our hatred, step back, and say, why are we doing this? Poem I wrote at a coffee shop. Last night I went to a bar and sat there alone for 15 minutes. Memories of when you hung up on me when I needed help. I will wake up in the beds of women I will never see again. And I will never give my heart to any of them. I have faith in nothing. I imagine a world in which kindness replaces every act of invectiveness. In which you say, I will never break your heart. I order more drinks than I should. Let's take the Bible and delete all the words that have no resonance within our souls. I take a sip of Corona and start crossing out words. I hear your voice. I'll always answer when you call. We'll pick each other up when we fall. A beer in one hand and joy reams in the other. I arrive at a new epiphany. Genesis. In heaven and earth, light was above the morning. It was living and moving. Every image of the woman there is life, a living soul, pleasure of evil and death. Adam brought his wife Eve, the voice of paradise, with labor and toil, thorns and thistles, in the sweat of his wife Eve, knowing good and also live forever. A flaming life. Gifts shall be received. I have this book, the birth of years, which the Lord has cursed. The spirit shall not remain forever. The wickedness of heart, but grace before the end of all flesh. The waters wherein is the life. Enter into every flood. Nights went shut wind upon the earth. The windows of having waited days upon the altar. I will curse the imagination. Summer, flesh shall be destroyed for perpetual generations. The sky shall be no more spread over the whole earth. After the flood, all his days were scattered abroad. The Lord will curse thee. And he built an altar. I know that you are beautiful. She will kill in the name of the Lord. We are families separated from the Lord. In the wilderness they fled, went their way, dividing their substance in heaven and earth. The stars laid the sun. Sleep fell upon him. Buried this present time, made a covenant, perceiving herself afflicted. I face perpetual strangers. I said to her, Sarah, I cry and perish. I had left bed and shut the door and abused with blindness. When it was morning, I found grace, and I cannot escape. The sun, looking behind her, turned into her, had not touched her. I suffered, exceedingly afraid. 1,000 pieces he promised and fulfilled, believed her voice, heard the voice of God, and hold to the kindness stay here with you. Exodus. All the souls depart out of God and conceive compassion. They return to God, this holy ground. I have seen, they will not believe me. They will not believe you, says he. Behold, and sacrifice our God with a strong hand. I have remembered my covenant. I have appointed you God. The children shall multiply my sign. There was blood in his heart this time. The magicians by their enchantments remained together immense, worshipped their presence the next day. Dead perish from the earth. The heart may work signs, devour every innumerable god, but forgive me my sins this time. There was our God, till we come to the very place, the woman. The blood at the fire, the victim, go sacrifice the Lord. Not suffering, remember this day. The pillar of fire by night will flee over the sea. So thirsty under heaven to seek the judgment of God. Hear my voice forever. I'm thinking about nothing. The new week comes, and then the week after that. Every word you say to me is poetry. They all rhyme with the lonely part of my heart. I do not regret a single day with you. Love, serenity. Colors, all of them warm. She told her, I dig the pink hair, Serenity. Thank you for not being afraid to stand out. And Serenity said, otherwise I'd be lost in the world and would be too afraid to breathe. I haven't seen any of those people since middle school when the nation was at peace. I don't even want to think about what has happened since then. Several bombings, riots in the streets, starvation. The world we thought we'd never lose, we had shattered from our arms. Everything changed when I met Serenity. She has a fire inside her that will change the world, ignited in charity. We try to ignore the misery. My clothes are now blood-stained. Broken glass on the floor. The park we used to walk together in now burned down. The new month comes, and then the month after that. Poem to be read when you are sad. Rummaging through the writings she published before she died, before she was shot 5 times in the head, I read words that will unfortunately always be obscure, because we cannot ask her. You broke my heart when you told me I would never be who I want to be. People read into the words of people they look up to. I want to learn as much about the world as I can. Although I am young, I will never make assumptions. Anything can happen. Time can take me anywhere. I don't want to be remembered as the girl who is always obsessed with death. I don't want to be remembered for that book I wrote about how dark the world has grown, but rather for the life inside me. Natalie Gabler, born into a cosmos where God is not on our side. A slight gust of wind against my skin reminds me of her touch. That even through the chaos, it's better to watch the world burn with you than to watch it burn alone. When no thoughts are coming to my mind, I'm delusional, I'm frantic, is anything real, am I still alive? Once you make that initial connection and fall in love, everything should be unconditional. I want to move to Anchorage and take a vow of silence, never speak to anyone again. But I will walk home in the cold and forget all of you that you ever existed. Simple songs are better than ones that never express emotion, that fail to talk about the torture we are feeling in our hearts, like a needle through our side. Unholy, I hear you say when we look in 1 Timothy we see Paul, but I know there is something telling you to hold on to a lie, no matter how much evidence there is against it. When we look in the Gospel of John, you see our God telling you that to love me, you can never talk to me or answer me ever again. The woman who seems pious is not in the least way, because a college girl at a frat party is a holy saint in comparison. I prefer you the way you were before you changed. At least then you had an open mind. At least then you had some charity. My mind is numbed by torture like yours was by the alcohol. In a different world, we calmly share drinks, and you listen to all the things I've been going through. When we look in the book of Revelation, we see our flaws, but realize that everything will be fine in the end. But for now, you are tempted by the desire to pretend to be someone you are not. You fall headfirst into a lie, and I lock the door to my room and cry, but then forget about you, because I never needed you, and I no longer want you. I'm the apostate. I'm a runaway slave. I wear it like a badge of honor. I know that my words will make you cry when I say that this one life we have is quickly culminating, coming to an end. When I kiss you, I know it won't last forever. When I hold you, I know that fate has brought us here together. That moment during the night when I get the emergency phone notification that the world is coming to an end today. Earthquakes in various places, nukes go off in cities all over, the temptation inside us to breathe the poisoned air. I can't remember if half the things that happened to me this year actually happened to me, or if they all happened in my dreams. The corporations will never advertise my articles. There is joy knowing that you're here, embracing the sunlight. I am not a difficult person, and I want to feel what you feel, and I will take responsibility for having a piece of your heart. I don't want to hurt you. I think it's better for you to be here and stay a while and talk. I know the person I become. The years have made me bitter, but not into a bad person, or the kind of person who would hurt you. If you let me, I'll always love you. I'll stay home watching the State of the Union, and realize that there are more people like me all over the nation, hurting, but who would never cause anyone intentional hurt. Those with no money have nothing because they have nothing. It is not because they are better or worse. No matter how famous I become, I'll be forgotten in the future and will never be remembered. There is a powerful thought in my mind. That thought is that I care, and not enough people care. The world will be ours if you want to explore it with me. I'll write poems and put them in bottles and throw them into the ocean, and hope someone will find them. I will travel to different cities with you, and you will recognize that this world is beautiful. Pay attention to the beautiful world. English 101. We write about our experiences. I'm sorry I have none. No hurt I want to talk about, no secrets I want revealed. I don't want to read the poems you tell me to. The best poems are poems that sing. They become like songs not because of music, but because of the joy they bring. When people come together and read the same lines in separate rooms, but cry because they know someone else feels in a way that they can relate to. Recurring nightmare. I keep having this recurring nightmare that I never got out of grad school because I have 2 extra classes to take that were mysterious and I didn't know about, so I would spend the rest of eternity trying to take them, but never finding them or even knowing about them. I have a close friend who told me life is exactly like a film, except it is only the first 5 minutes of the film. Before you know anything about the story or where the characters are going to go or what's going to happen or who will die. However, in life we know we're all going to die. I watched her live stream while she was drinking and laughing, and then I watched another live stream from her in which she was crying, bitterly weeping, thinking about death and the movie she had watched, something about being abandoned by the one you love the most. And here I am on my bed, writing and reading poetry books, thinking about how each imprint in time leaves a mark on our minds that is easily destroyed when our minds are destroyed. If we don't write things down, is there any difference between it happening and never happening? And I can imagine what life is like at school for her. A little bit like my life. Almost as if we have parallel experiences across the other side of the country. And California doesn't seem so far, but it is. How in her eyes I saw joy, pleasure, and the worst kind of sadness, the worst kind of grief. Look into my eyes, you will see the same. When you meet grief personified, it will come to you into your house without invitation, and you cannot kick him out or ask it to leave. I sit at home and attempt to read, but can't because there are so many more important things to do, like actually making a difference in the world, using my voice instead of words other people spoke. Every time I read something someone else wrote is a second I'm not absorbing the sunlight outside, feeling ecstatic with every breath I take. My room is dusty, so I take the books off the walls and clean the room. But no matter what I do, I feel like my work is never done. Writing simple words is harder than you think. Especially when you don't know how the other person you're writing to will understand them. I wrote a long list of metaphors down over the course of my life for use in my writing, but I never use them because they do not come close to helping me understand you. You wonder why I lost all my faith. My friend, I have more faith in you than I have in God. You are real, tangible. I can hold you and feel you. I know you are here. I do not feel God or see him. I do not know where to look. And because of the frigid wind, when I walk the streets and feel the cold, I remember all the times I felt cold during my childhood. It is the same sensation. My skin has changed, the wind has not changed. Life is a dream in which we are separated from our families, except we'll never wake up from it, in which I lose everyone close to me. Our close friends become like a flock of birds. They fly away, and there is no way to tell where they went, or if one is different from the other. The woman you love is like a book you will never read, because the book reminds you of the things that hurt you in the past, and reading the book would almost be like learning a new language because of how different the language is, and you don't have time to do that because of how busy the workday is. So you give up and never hear from her again. You put it down and let it collect dust. Even though the stories and knowledge would prevent you from making stupid mistakes in the future, I have a close friend who always talks to me, and I would never avoid talking to any of you. I have a dear friend who thinks he can walk on water. I'll see this kind of faith tested in time and eternity. I'll believe it when I see it. I have a dear friend close to my heart named Christina Gramey. She realized how much you had hurt me and offered to write a song with the poem about how much you broke my heart, knowing that you would hear it and feel what I feel. The song charted #1 in North America for 18 weeks. You heard it and fell in love with me again. But actually it was only just a dream. Christina's dead. I have no friends, and a poem wouldn't change your mind anyway. Demiurge. Dreams we have both forgotten. When I'm working as a waiter, living a stressful life. When I want to be far from here, somewhere alone with you. There are so many places we can travel to. Delete the past memories, make new ones with me. The old excitement, the dreams you had before mean nothing. They signify nothing. With them you will feel nothing. Stay with me for a while and I'll show you the world that you've been daydreaming of. Beware of the dreamers because they will inherit the future. Beware of the hope inside your soul. It will burn the world up. Inspiration is all around you. Each day that passes with you is one and the same with forever. We live together. If you stop hoping, you stop living. But you need to die to find yourself. Be on the edge of the bullet. We will speak simple words to each other, yet understand each other perfectly, knowing that this simple connection is what we live for. But there is also darkness that tears the world apart, and I feel powerless against it. Sometimes I forget why I express my emotions. I forget why I'm holding on to something that is so temporary. The first time we had sex, all I could think about is how life doesn't last forever. There is so much to write about, how the people long dead who we used to know live now as ghosts, and I cannot see them, but I know what they feel. I only listen to dark songs as the water floods the slums. I always work as hard as I can, but never get my work done. We will be justified and sanctified through the washing and the alcohol, through the drinking of wine, and you are still here with me. Although we know the demiurge will only destroy what we have, I take refuge in your arms, like the shelter from the storm, like the shelter from the wars, and all we can do is run from city to city as the riots have begun, breaking out of the police state. Find some place where we belong far from here. God, I want to be far from here. I woke up with you in my arms and gunshots in the distance, and then I didn't see you again. I looked throughout the morning. It was time to move to another city. Visions constantly weighing down on me, telling me the truth, the world will never end. All that is inside of me is dead. I am holding on to a phantom, letting go of my dreams. We know that what is tangible to us was never real. We have had enough food for one day, tomorrow we will want more. And the forest is dark, I sleep outside the city, I can barely see the stars. I will move on without you. I'll write a journal every day whenever I remember to write. There is a darkness inside of me, compelling me to hold you and never let go. We dream about each other, and the voice you hear in your dreams that you think is mine will never be mine. The longest poem in this book. I want to hide and even disappear, but not in a poetic way. I mean actually hide and even disappear. I don't think in a poetic way. Would you rather be normal or weird? I'd rather be with you. When we lose control of ourselves and forget how to love, it's going to be broken, a nightmare, twisted. There is something inside of me that is ready to be unleashed on the world. Pure disbelief that this is the life we've been given. My name is Serenity, the girl you will find silently walking through these hallways, the same expression on my face. Pure disbelief that this is the life we've been given. We're just kids. Why are our lives already broken? I want to sleep without fear of violence, the way it was when everything was handed to me. I write poems in every classroom and every hallway. Do you believe in life after death? I believe that death is what there always is and ever shall be, world without end. I heard my mom say that God would heal me of my bipolar disorder, that God would take away everything, but I don't want it taken away. I don't want to lose who I am. If you want to know who I am, just listen to the Spotify playlist I sent you. Listen to them and think very carefully about the lyrics. Kids like us mold ourselves after bands because there is something worth expressing. I am at peace at a rock concert in which my favorite local bands play. It's like going to church and being healed. The only way to listen is to feel the same things the other person is feeling. I tried to find someone online who was feeling the same thing I was feeling, who I could relate to, going on dating websites, answering questions. It's always those people who just want to hook up for a moment, who just want to feel someone close against their skin, and I don't hold it against them at all. In fact, I would welcome that. But at the same time, I couldn't find anyone I wanted to talk to, and there's always thoughts about how we got to this point in existence, how every molecule came together, the friction and love brought us here. We can stand anywhere, look at the city skyline and see the river, see the water, feel the wind against my skin, feeling almost at peace. However, you are not here with me. I have a feeling if I died tomorrow, I would miss you very much. Here's a list of 5 things I could never live without. I couldn't live without you here listening, and that leads to more than 5 things, which is my list. Part of me wants to grow older and know what it's like to be in my mid-30s. I'm not sure how far I'll make it. The news still disturbs me every day. We used to complain about how bad the news on TV was. It was fine when it was far away from us, but now it is closer to home. And everyone freaks out when that happens. When it's in someone else's country, like Syria, no one cares. But when our world is shattered, when our country loses what it has, we thought it never could be destroyed. But here we are. And I'm writing this on the last day of high school, instead of celebrating with people who should have been my friends. I never alienated myself from anyone, but it is still so hard to connect, except when I'm talking to you. When that happens, everything comes so naturally. Everything seems so in place. Thank you for calling me a thoughtful person. It's nice to hear that there is some value when I'm sitting in the back of the room, either writing this poem or reflecting, staring at the walls or the lights on the ceiling. And then when school is over, I go outside and stare at the sky, and eventually the stars, without blinking, watching each day fade into the other. The stars suddenly appear out of nowhere. The sky turns black at night. The sky is still blue even when we can't see it. If I were to die tomorrow, I think I would make it a point to haunt everyone, to see what happens with their lives. I would be all things to all people. I've had enough of America. Not only have I had enough of America, but of any country that divides its citizens into categories left, right, color, creed, or says that one is better than the other. Because a little while after this, we should have stepped back and said, we are all the same, we all become nothing. Why are we arguing? At the convention, the presidential candidate makes a speech. In some ways, the president should be a representation of what the people feel as a whole. And I feel so many things at once that I could encapsulate all of those other people. And I'm very serious when I say this. A list of things I did today. I walked by numerous people in the hallways. My gaze was pushed down towards the floor. I remember trying to do my homework assignments, and I had a dream every night that when I get up, I'm forgetting to do something. But when I wake up, I still realize it's true, that I cannot concentrate enough to do what I'm supposed to do. And I don't even know where I will be going to college or what I will be doing the next 5 years. But the question I ask is, why does it cost so much to be alive? Every single day, it is so easy to be on the street when so many people are wealthy. Some have so much and some have nothing. I will demonstrate this poverty in my words by using only simple language. Because even when language is simple, you can still resonate with it. You can still inhale it into yourself and fill in the blanks with information from your own life. I don't believe abstractions are bad. I believe abstractions are what keep us together, because we can all fit ourselves into those abstractions. And this is what I believe about eternity. Eternity not only takes its time, eternity takes all time. It destroys everything until there is nothing at all left. Remember my words when I am dead, that I am now nothing. If you are reading this after my death, I am always asked why I am so obsessed with death, and then I ask the opposite. How can you not be obsessed with death? How can you not think about death every minute of your life? That is the only way to live a full life, to realize that death is coming. And do I want to sit at a desk for the rest of my life and do mundane work at a mundane job? Because even the president told us, you're not going to make it as what you wanted to become. You're not going to become a musician or a rapper or poet. Do not follow what you want to become. Never follow your dreams. After all, you just need a mundane job. And at night you dream that you were doing what you wanted to do your entire life when you were younger. But that will never happen. And the thought comes into my mind again. It costs so much to be alive. And some people have so much, but they will never give any of it away. I'm not saying the government should take things from the rich and give to the poor. I'm saying you who are rich give to the poor. There once was a time when I went crazy out of my mind and was surprised the way the doctor treated me, how insulting she was, how she didn't care about my problems, but just wanted to check. I'm not kidding. She had me on all the wrong drugs. She succeeded at nothing. But even through all the strong emotions constricting and exploding, I don't even know what I want. I gave up on finding God a long time ago. I write stories and poems about fictional characters who live in a more exciting time than me. Even during the Great Depression, people were still looking up instead of looking down at their phones. And we were better off then for that reason alone. I once had a creative writing class. I was told because my writings jump around so much, no one would ever read them or concentrate on them. But thought is what matters. You thinking my thoughts. You knowing what my thoughts are. And I also respecting yours. It doesn't matter if we can't understand how they are coherent or arrive at conclusions, but we should think and remember that we are breathing. I think that when you are dead, you will be jealous of the ones who are breathing. But when you're dead, you actually won't be anything at all. Pain, thank you for giving me a reason to look up from my phone. Pain, you are the only one I will let inside me, and let you have anything you want from me. I think it is better to fall headfirst into you. The first thing I want to say about forever is that we will never meet again. I will never feel you pain again until after my death. We will never talk again or sit on the curb and watch the cars go by. We will never sit in a car and hold hands or walk the streets together again. We will never talk about what it's like to be friends or to be more than that. We will never feel ecstatic joy or any kind of misery. But pain, remember that you are here with me now. You are here, and you are here sticking into me like needles. You pierce me and cut me, and then I bleed. And that is the only time I feel joy. I let you inside me to see the insides of me. I let you cut me open and feel me, the only agony that ever brought me joy. It's amazing how you can spend so little time with someone and still have that great of an impact upon each other. You upon me and me upon you. You're the only one who ever made me feel like a woman truly loved. Like there is someone who wants to be there with me. A reason to escape my room and not look at music magazines all day or poetry books, but instead to find what I read about in poetry books, what I hear about in songs, what I've been dreaming about all night long. But for some reason, I never know what I'm feeling is what I should be feeling. You will be my guidance to let me know what is real and what is not. I will show you the world inside my head. But for now, I will fill out the questionnaire on a dating website and never use it again. Do you believe in miracles? I don't know. I will let you cut me until the day I'm dead. And every night when I no longer see you, I will go to my room and write poems about you. not necessarily using your name, but having little details about you, little clues here and there, so that everyone will know who you are. And if you ever would leave me and say your love was a lie, I would move on with life for sure. Probably find someone else, but never will give my heart to that person, never be satisfied. And at the same time, I'm always sick of writing about love. I want to write about what I see. But in the world, I do not see love. What do you see? Darkness inhaling the world, swallowing it in one gasp. And now the only option is to pack up and leave, to never come back. To walk away. Where are you going? From empty room to empty room. Screaming on a planet where there is no air. Not enough friction for anyone to hear me. And then I hear you say, I don't want you to feel misery. I don't want you to hurt. Hold me for the last time. Not one word is melodramatic. Nothing is melodramatic, and the only reason for this is because every word you write will be the only time you write them. Life is a class we take, in which we all receive a failing grade. Because our teacher is eternity, our teacher is only time. It teaches us that the only way to live is to learn how to lose every single thing we have. We will lose the beautiful trees. We will lose the expanding sky. We will lose all socialization and the screens we stare at each day and every night. We will lose the fame we acquired. We will lose the praise from everyone who likes us. We will lose everything as if none of it happened. So at night I spend it writing poems, and I only think about you and time, and movies I wasn't paying attention to, or can't even remember because of the brain damage that happened during my manic episode, when life was flashing so fast that I don't even know how I got here. It's like I was just instantly there. Close my eyes, now I'm here. Like when you're sitting at your computer screen one day, you close your eyes for 1 minute, you blink, 3 hours have passed. That is what life is like. You close your eyes, 20 years have passed. You close your eyes, 45 years have passed. You close your eyes and do not open them, because you no longer have eyes or a body. And have you read many books, studied the information in them, without realizing that all your knowledge will soon be gone? Have you internalized that fact? If you have not internalized that fact, you have no reason to judge me. Internalize that fact first, then judge me. It's amazing how when you close your eyes, you see the same thing you would be seeing if your eyes were closed in any other city or time in history, or in the arms of any other lover. Close your eyes, and your imagination will take you places you never thought you could go. Like when I'm on the floor of my bedroom reading The Wise Man's Fear, thinking about different worlds and what it would be like for me to write my own book. But there's a sadness that comes over me, making me want to lie down on my bed and not get up for a few hours. I just stay there and don't move. When I go to work, I try to imagine economics in action, how we can afford to have so many things, but I don't believe it whenever someone explains to me how it works. We can produce food for years and years and it is still sustainable. Why is there not enough food for all people? Why does it cost so much to be alive? Why is the planet not infinite? Why do we have today? So I lay back on my bed and close my eyes and I think, if we were in any other universe with any other laws of nature, when I close my eyes I'm seeing the same thing as if we lived in a universe where misery does not exist, where none of this happened. I'm starting to realize why I feel so much. I feel for everyone who lives. Because when I see other people being bullied at school, there's nothing I can do to stop it, but I feel the same misery. And afterwards you might find me walking through the city for a while, several hours contemplating what the homeless are feeling there, staring at the skyscrapers, wondering why the English language is never adequate to describe past events or even simple emotions, and I have a huge case of writer's block right now. I have a poem assigned for class tomorrow. I will simply write all my thoughts, realizing that if my thoughts are not good enough now, they will never be good enough ever. Random disjointed thoughts are more valuable than the ones you think through later, because these random thoughts you write scribbled on a page, or record your voice with your phone, are more valuable to me than the sonnets written by Shakespeare, more valuable than the most thought-out verse ever. The words you whispered to me on the phone late at night were more valuable to me than all the poet's words. Your words were I love you. Simple words but true. more valuable than Dante's Divine Comedy, a true work of spiritual expression and controversy. But your words do not express spiritual expression. Your words are spiritual expression itself, true connection rather than mediation. I cannot read any more books, because when I sit down to read, I realize there are more important things I could be doing, like spending time with you. They say I'm quiet, but I have a lot to say. I know the day will pass. I will walk alone again. I won't think carefully about my words before I commit to them, because I am exhausted of hearing that nothing happened. I will take pictures of everything I see and try to remember. I will stay up writing about what I saw and slowly fall asleep. And in the morning I will regret what I was trying to do. So these words will be lost forever. And where do words go when they are lost forever? Is there something that defines everything that could have existed but does not? Is there a first principle that underlines everything so that even what never existed is conceptualized? Is there a place where the words are put together that no one could put together? Words a supercomputer could not come up with, even if I tried to generate them for 1,000 generations. I am holding on to all the memories I no longer remember. I hear someone say, "Do you have any regrets, Serenity?" I regret not sitting next to you, and not finding out what is inside your soul, and not touching every part of it, and falling in love with it. I remember the first time I expressed how I felt, the first time I told you about the needles sinking deep into my skin. Change is elusive when you had compassion on me and said, "Do not weep." How do we deal with grief and fear? The only way to defeat it is to swim in it as in a sea and then drown. All of these letters, just binary processed through a computer screen and then printed out on a page. I gave up on trying to find my own happiness a long time ago. I try to imagine what you are feeling right now. The new year comes, and the years follow after that one, and then there will be nothing. Just a scar without you saying anything to me ever again. When we are dead, nothing comes after that. The shortest poem in the book. You're wrong about eternity, Serenity. With you I feel no longer alone, fallen into the depths of peace. This concludes the first edition of Love Poems at the End of Our Lives.